And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Sparkling Tuna Cup. This is number 19. I'm, of course, your host, Light VIP. And with me, for the very first time, we have a brand new Cranky Duckling. I'd like to welcome everyone. Welcome to the new Cranky Duckling, AsherBro.
Quack.
Quack.
Quack, quack.
It's been a long time, puppy. Mate, you're not just a part of the Ducklings now, you're also GM.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. No. But yes, very exciting. Thank you very much. In my imaginary contract, I have to quack regularly.
You're forcing that upon yourself, puppy.
Yeah. Quack.
Oh, no.
Alright. But, won't get too sidetracked. We'll start by introducing the player in the top right-hand corner. It is the blue Terran from Australia. It is Azure. Or Schween.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Inside and Out, we have the South Korean Terran player himself representing Team GP. It is Control. And can you explain what is Schween and why is he so firm?
It's what it sounds like, Light. I don't want to explain it too much. I will admit, I was in on the call when he made this account. I think he might have forgotten that he's on the account right now. But yes, it is something that we say at midnight when we're playing golf, and it is not meant for anyone else's ears. So I apologize on his behalf. But it is what it is.
Mate. This means that he's going to be on this account for ANZ chips. Like,
honestly, I was surprised even Blizzard allowed the name. So I'm not holding my breath for ANZ champs allowing the name. But anyway, we do have a little bit of action already to start off with a Rax expand from Control. So Azure will be the aggressor in this case with his faster factory.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He also shoots first here with his Reaper. Of course, Azure delaying his own CC for a bit of that faster factory as well. We do see already zoning out that Reaper, but has to be careful not to lose anything too early. Oh.
Yeah, very nice micro coming out from both players. We did see that Azure hit that SCV just around the corner so that he could try to win that fight with the Reaper versus the Reaper, but the Marine comes out just in time to save it.
Yeah, very nice indeed. Looks like the bunker is going to finish up just in time. Azure's going to rock up this ramp, but yes, the bunker does finish in. The Marine, up! Go.
Oh, very close to catching the Marine out there, but there still is a timing here for Azure to get a bit more damage done, and he is a very good player with his Reaper control, so I would expect him to, get quite a lot done here, and he is already.
Yeah, exactly. He catches the Reaper, catches the Marine. This Marine is one hit away from being taken down. The Hellion is going to dive in as well. It looks like maybe Azure can kind of not just take out the units, but also a couple of workers. But with the repair, it looks like Control has held. But not without losing some SCVs, though.
Yeah, clutch repair coming in there from Control, but he does lose 4 SCVs. And that puts these two players on a bit more of a level playing field. When you are the double gas player playing against the Rax expand, you do have quite a slower CC, but in return you can put on that aggression and try to even up the playing field that way. So we can see that Azure already has a slight supply advantage and is up by 1 SCV.
Yeah, nicely done. And the aggression doesn't stop there. We do see that he's going for a Banshee behind this as well, which isn't the most standard thing from a Terran player, so it's really cool to see him whip this out. I know we've seen Bjorn do this a couple of times where you send out 1 or 2 Banshees just to try and backstab while a big fight is happening.
Yeah, it can be really a nice move if you catch your opponent off guard, and it also does give you a little bit of extra safety against the kind of play that Control is actually going for here, which is the tank drop.
Oh yeah, exactly. The drop is coming across map. Again, as a reminder, these are kind of vanilla Marines. The tank has a little firepower, a lot of potential behind it, but as you were saying, a Banshee is kind of ideal defensively against this if it stays at home.
Yeah, and the Banshee does see the drop. Very fortunate passing there for Azure, and he should be totally fine against this. No buildings anywhere near the edge of the base either. Gets the lock on the medevac, gets quite a lot of damage there.
Yeah, exactly. Gets the medevac in the end. The tank already sustaining a lot of damage as well. With the pull of the SCVs, it looks like Azure is going to clean this up beautifully. Meanwhile, across the map, that Banshee was queued up. Not quite in location, so didn't get too much damage done yet, but is going to still get a couple of SCVs.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage of the game, you pretty much just want to sack your Banshee. There's not going to be too much more that you can get done with it, especially at this level. Players aren't going to just not be looking at their main when a fight goes on or something like that. So this is already so much damage for this Banshee. 8 workers going down, and no workers going down on the defense back home either.
Yeah, and what's insane is that the Banshee survives as well. You know, has a decent chunk of HP, 8 worker kills already, more than paying for itself, and potentially he could get more.
Yeah, we do see it as well. The third base coming down from control on location, and I will hope for Azure's sake that he does see this with the Banshee, but it is a very aggressive move for control. Maybe feeling that he's behind and he needs to do something quite risky to get himself back in the game, or maybe a little disrespectful, who knows?
I mean, he needs to come back in this game, maybe, because look at this. 5 more SCVs, 6 more SCVs are going down. He is going for a bit of a drop, but again, this Banshee got 8 worker kills earlier, and he may just get another 8. Oh my god.
Yeah, honestly, at this point in the game, Banshee getting even 3 to 4 workers more than pays for itself, so to get 16 is insane.
Absolutely insane. Now here we go. We have that kind of Hail Mary drop coming in from control. He is going to dive on top of the tank and maybe take it out, but there was already an army here in position. We have the Unsiege as well. Azure is just on top of everything.
Yeah, Azure very far ahead with his play in this game. Meanwhile, there is a Liberator in the natural getting a few kills there. Bit of a pain there, but he will shoo it away with a Raven.
Yeah, shoots it away. 4 SCV kills. What's important as well is that control is able to get away with the tank. Thankfully, this time he doesn't lose his drop needlessly, so he's able to keep it alive. And at least he is able to finish up that CC on location.
Yeah, it's very important for control here that he just uses these tools that he has out on the map to try to keep Azure home. The more that he can keep him home, the more that he could get this third mining, he can start to get himself back in the game that way.
Oh boy, exactly. We'll see if he can do so. Once again, diving in with his Liberator. He still has the drop outside the base as well to maybe try and dive in if ever Azure isn't looking. Liberator's still barely alive. And again, this is all just to make sure that Azure doesn't go across the map, because Azure, he never saw that third CC.
Yeah, there is a lot of aggression coming out. I'm sure Azure with the... there we go. Throws down a scan after seeing the sensor tower. Gets a bit of an idea of how much saturation is on that base, which isn't too much, so he won't feel too rushed to get anything done here. He'll just try to land the third of his own.
Yeah, exactly. With this, he's going to be able to spot this drop here at the triangular third location. At the same time, a double drop headed towards into the main base, but immediately the disable on the drop of the tank.
Yeah, fantastic disable. Completely deflects this attack. And meanwhile, is able to start landing his third as well. Great snipe there.
Oh my god, at the same time, the third is denied for the time being, but a drop tries to go in. The missile turret actually took down the medevac, so now the tank is completely stranded, and just like that, Azure, he just shuts down both drops.
Yeah, all this multi-prong from control is good, but he's losing so much of his forces, and if we look back home, he barely has anything left to defend, so Azure is going to have an absolutely brutal timing coming up. It can feel a little bit of a pain to be the punching bag in TvT, but there does come a time where if you have more, you can just push across the map.
Yeah, exactly. You know, at a certain point, you know, I think he should recognize how far ahead he is when it comes to his army and push out with that. For the time being, he's just establishing his third base, and I don't blame him. He knows that he's been behind in bases this entire time, and because of that, Control actually has a pretty large worker lead. But, you know, what he lacks in workers, he makes up for in tanks. I worry that maybe Azure is going to be a little bit too passive. I do hope that he does push out eventually.
Yeah, definitely just sitting back and defending for now, but at the same time, this tank advantage is an advantage that doesn't really go away, and it's an advantage that keeps growing throughout the game, especially if Control is going to keep throwing away drops like this. Fantastic coverage by Azure there.
Oh my god, exactly. We even saw a disable as well to make sure nothing got dropped. Both medevacs get shut down. We see a scan. Control recognizes how far behind he is in that tank count. Bearing in mind, he just lost another tank. Oh boy, and Control, as much as I love his aggression, I feel like he also needs to calm down a little bit. Like, how many drops has he already lost?
Yeah, it really does feel like in this game he's been skill checking Azure a little bit. I know it is something that the Korean players sometimes tend to do when they're not very familiar with the player, is just kind of try to throw as much as they can at the player and test their multitasking, test their macro behind defending all this aggression. But Azure's been more than up to the task so far, and there's a huge lead for him at the moment.
Oh yeah, exactly. We'll see if he can maintain that lead. We just see another drop on the left-hand side. Well, spotted only a handful of Marines. Control now respecting his opponent, not going for any kind of crazy drops of his own. Going to be looking to maybe expand and take a fourth base behind this. As I say that though, Control, he's moving out again.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the game, Control really needs to make something happen. He's not going to be able to win this game just sitting back. Because as soon as Azure maxes out, he is going to be able to just push across with all these tanks,
Sweet.
with the Viking advantage. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to forget. Stop reminding me.
It's staring at me in the face, Puppy. It's just, it's right there.
It is, yeah, it's hard to ignore when it's in your face like that.
Aye. But yeah, he's just been doing insanely well. He's up 40 supply right now, just banking up his tank count, his Viking count again, not really going for any kind of like risky moves. He doesn't want to be caught out like his own opponent has been getting caught out this game. Oh, and maybe he's looking to try and max out. I say that, but here we go. He unsieges all of his tanks. But at the same time, Doom drop.
Yeah, he does scan around first to see where he might be able to find the army. He hasn't been able to find the army, so he should know that it's out on the map at least somewhere. This Doom drop, very risky again by Control, should be able to clean it up just fine with the Ravens and the Vikings. Azure has done a really, really good job keeping all these units. He hasn't lost any Vikings or any Ravens. And they get so much value throughout the game. And yeah, this looks like the beginning of the end for Control. He's just lost every push with pretty much no damage.
I was afraid to look. I'm looking at the units lost tab. I was like, has Azure lost a single tank?
Oh my goodness.
He lost one tank this game. So not going for that perfect game. TvT, this one, unfortunately, barely off. But here we go. He has 200 supply. He's pushing out across the map. And I don't know if there's any way for Control to stop this.
Yeah, nice disables on the tanks, but basically he can just A-move him with these Marines, and that is exactly what he's doing. Control is definitely out of this game, and GG is called.
GG, well played. Azure showing us all that in TvT, he is firm.
The firmest. I had a look right before the end of that game. He actually out-traded him 3-1.
Oh my god.
I think almost more than 3-1. Kind of insane for a TvT. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's crazy, you know. He was basically doing like his best Showtime or stats impression, you know, the wall of Terran. He just chilled out, stayed at home, and Control just kept pushing into him non-stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was, so on point with the defense. Barely lost a unit, didn't lose any of those important Vikings or Ravens, which just kept those drops out for so long. And I would expect to see Control definitely adjust a little bit.
Yeah, I would hope so. You were talking about it before, and I think I agree. Where you're like, you know, maybe Control was skill checking his opponent. Maybe he's like, I'm not too familiar with Azure. You know, let's just drop everywhere and see what happens. You know, I'm sure this will deal damage, and we can just move on to the next game. But Azure proved himself here against Control, and now Control's gonna have to approach this in a different way.
Or he might just double down.
True.
Actually, wouldn't be too surprised to see maybe something like a proxy racks coming out from him. I think for Azure, he should feel quite confident to be the defender, especially if he's expecting Control to play the same way. But yeah, I think Control's got to mix it up one way or the other.
I agree. Like, I also wouldn't be surprised if he pulled a Maru and just like just went for a proxy straight off the bat in game two. I hope he doesn't. I kind of want, especially now that Azure has a little bit of momentum, I kind of want him to be the one to be the aggressor, especially on a map like Waterfall.
Yeah, Waterfall, very, very small map. It's something that I haven't noticed too much in TvZ or TvP, how much that it affects the actual gameplay so much, but in TvT it's got a very noticeable effect on the way that you play the game. the thirds are so close to each other, so it ends up being whoever's more aggressive tends to have the momentum to just be all over the map, and that's very scary.
Yeah. So I wonder if Azure he's going to be up to the task, or if he's going to try and be the defender again, in which case he's going to have maybe a harder time on this map. So we'll see. We'll see how things shape up. And as we are going to wait and see, I also want to give a massive shout out to someone in the chat. Massive shout out to Soundo in the chat for donating 100 USD. Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the support, Sounder. That's awesome. Always a very good supporter of the channel, so yeah. Awesome to see.
Then you're like, mate, so about that contract.
I want my cut.
Aye. But yeah, thank you so much, Sounder. Also, I forgot that I had that up. We can do that later. Welcome to the Cranky Ducklings, Asher. Sounder has redeemed a Spanish intro.
Oh no! All right, you're gonna write something, and I'm gonna read it. Okay?
How does that make any sense?
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I don't speak Spanish.
Do what Yaku does. What Yaku does, he comes up with something and he puts it in Google Translate. And then that's what he reads.
It's gonna be so much worse.
Good. We don't have to do it this series. We'll give you some time. We'll save it for like the semis or something, the semifinals. We'll save it. Save it. But yes, okay. We will have a Spanish intro. Oh boy.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I thought you're like, Papi is all I know. That's
Esta Sounder.
That's not what I say.
I'm trying.
It's good. I thought you were part Italian, right? Am I crazy?
You are crazy. That's not me.
Oh,
it's Chase.
Oh my god.
You're loca. Alright. And speaking of loco, he is firm. He is going for an aggressive play already. It is the blue Terran from Australia. It is Azure.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Waterfall, we have the South Korean Terran player himself. He was crazy with non-stop aggression in game number 1, and now he is being aggressed upon, representing Team GP. It is Control.
And this is very unfortunate for Azure. I think Control is actually going for an in-base 2-Rex. So this is something that I've seen people do a lot on this map. I was wondering if it's just something that happens at the lower GM levels and stuff like that, but it does seem like something that is favored. I am expecting to see the second Rex, but I might be wrong here.
Yeah, I mean, he's taken both of his gases, right? Clearly, he doesn't intend to expand anytime soon here with a Rex CC or anything like that. So we're waiting to see what is going to be coming out. Obviously, we're going to see Reapers coming out from Azure. And where is that second Rex from Control?
Okay, yeah. I think I just misread the supply a little bit. So this is quite good for Azure. Control hasn't scouted anything yet. That depot just out of range, I believe, of the Raxes of Azure. So having not been scouted, we should see him saving up for a second Reaper and going in with both. Yeah, this is a bit of a specialty build of Azure as well. Very good with this build.
Okay. So Azure, he saw the opener. He knows that he's going to be ahead when it comes to the Reaper count. He knows that if he waits a little bit, maybe Control will move out with his first Reaper. In saying that, though, Control didn't SCV scout or anything like that, so he is also playing in the dark, and he should be playing this a little bit safe.
Yeah, I'm sure Control will just leave that Reaper at home, but this all comes down to this first interaction. If the 2 Reapers of Azure can take out the 1 Reaper of Control, this is pretty much over, but good reactions by Control so far.
Oh, good reaction, but the Reaper does go down, and now a couple of more SCVs are going to be falling as well. We see a couple of boys being pulled here. Second Reaper comes on out, but now we have a third one from Azure.
Yeah, and this is a disaster for Control. I don't want to say this game is over already, but it is very close to over. This is so much damage already coming out, and I think Azure is just going to take this one already.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the second Reaper may have survived here for Control, but he's losing so many SCVs, and there we go. The Reaper goes down, the Hellion goes down, GG gets called, and Azure takes the series 2-0.
Yeah, very nice there. Azure with a clean 2-0, and he is an expert with that 2-Rax. That is a build that I have seen him do a lot. I have experienced it for myself, and it's absolutely terrifying. He does not waste a single shot with those Reapers and manages to get himself a very quick, clean win.
Wow, GG. Well played to our Australian Terran player. Again, a player who has been playing more Protoss than Terran the past couple of months, but maybe he's coming back into form, you know, maybe especially with ANZ Champs, you know, coming up on the horizon next month. Maybe he's focusing a little bit more on this. But really, really good result here, taking down a player like Control.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good result there, and nice to see him participating in this tournament as well. I know, like a lot of the Australian players, sometimes the motivation is a little bit low for the StarCraft. And, it's definitely nice to see him joining and already getting quite a nice result for himself.
Definitely. So GG, well played to Azure. You know, maybe his new name is invigorating him a little bit, and I don't know, man. I don't know. But he moves on to face a player that he should be familiar with. Another player who is a regular in our community, in our scene, especially when it comes to the old GPO tournaments. He moves on to face Beastork.